agencies, where's our money? Well, they said, call Elouise Cobell because it's her fault, the reason you're not getting your checks. And so, you know, that was probably the low point in what I had to deal with. I remember driving home that night and feeling so sad that, you know, people were not getting their checks, and the behavior of the United States government had come to this low. So, you know,
but you were able to turn it around.
I was able to
and get information from people.
I talked to individual Indian people, and I said, you know, this is the way it is. And the most, I think, wonderful part about this is the patience of the individual Indian people, because they have waited a long time for justice, and they were not going to believe the trustee that has behaved so badly to them. So we were able to come through that. But, you know, there were other people within the Department of Interior that wanted to do the right thing. We had one woman that actually, you know, whistle blew and said, you know, these systems are so bad that anybody could hack into the systems, that and the government retaliated against her. But fortunately, the judge had a protective order which protected the people coming forward, the witnesses. And that particular woman was an absolutely crucial person. And there's been many others that have came forward that have worked within this broken system and came forward to tell the truth. And the Department of Interior retaliated against them. And it's a sad situation. But we've also got to talk about the future. And we've got to make sure that Congress and any administration, and I've sort of lost a lot of faith in the administration really doing the right thing, but we won fixing the accounting systems. Those systems are not fixed yet. We won that in 1999, and they're not done, and there's no oversight. There's nobody to force them to fix the systems. This is an eye-opener to all of the American people. It certainly has been an eye-opener to all of the individual Indian people across the United States. Some people, you know, don't even know where their land is because the government systems are so bad that people can't find out where their land is, and it's their land. And so that we have an awareness now that we really have to stay in the face of the government in order to get justice.
The government has said that they have paid out the overwhelming majority of trust funds. Your response?
Well, they can't prove that. You know, where are the records? There's tons of missing records. You know, the boxes and boxes of checks were destroyed right during our case. You know, people don't know that Secretary Rubin, Secretary Babbitt, Assistant Secretary Gover were all held in contempt of court, and they were held in contempt of court for the destruction of documents. And it was no different than Enron. As soon as we filed the case, the government started destroying documents.
Could you tell us, Elouise Cobell, about your own nation, about the Blackfeet Nation, where you'll return to now in Montana?
Well, the Blackfeet Indian Nation is located near the Canadian border in Glacier National Park, which Glacier National Park was once part of the Blackfeet Indian Nation. Our nation is 1.5 million acres. Probably about a third of that is owned by individual Indians as a result of the Dawes Act or the Allotment Act, and a third is owned by the tribe, and a third is owned by non-Indians. And the third that is owned by non-Indians is a result of this mismanagement of our trust assets, because of the government not being in control as a trustee. They allowed individual Indians to take over, they allowed non-Indians to take over individual Indian land. For instance, when people from the Blackfeet were going off to war to fight in the wars, World War II, they would come back with a big tax deed against them, and they said the answer was that a tax debt, that the answer that they would give to the individual soldiers that came back to Blackfeet is, oh, we determined that you were a competent Indian, so we put your land on the tax rolls, and so all the time they're out there fighting for the United States. In the meantime, they've allowed accumulation of taxes, and non-Indian people would come in and assume those taxes and take over the land. And so it was a terrible situation. So basically 1/3 of our land is now owned by non-Indian people. And then during our case, we don't even know where the government can account for all the land. Why is it there's only 11 million acres of individual Indian trust land now, when at once there was 55 million acres of trust land? They can't give us the answers. What happened to all the land? It just dropped off of their accounting systems, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in the Blackfeet, they live in the elements are pretty difficult in our area. We have severe winters that get very, very cold. We have situations where people really do not have the ability to have their own homes, and we have families that are living with other families. We've worked really hard in getting banking services into our community in order to leverage funds that people have to start financial literacy programs in our community, so that young people will never allow this to happen again, that when the government mismanaged and continues to mismanage, that we'll all be in their face and not allow this to happen again to us. But we have serious situations at Blackfeet. There's many people, and the saddest thing for me is because this case has gone on for 12 years, I see people dying in our community every single day that haven't got their money. And it just is, it's heart-wrenching. And every time the government delays, more people die. And people have been waiting for so many years for justice. And so I'm happy that we brought this lawsuit, but I just hope that proper justice is done. And I hope by telling and sharing with the American people that the American people will stand up with us and help us make the United States government accountable as a trustee.
Elouise Cobell speaking last month before the court ruling on the suit seeking royalties for oil and gas drilling on Native American land. Last week, a federal judge ruled the U.S. government owes the Native American plaintiffs nearly $500 million, just a fraction of the $47 billion the plaintiffs were seeking. Elouise Cobell is the former president of the Blackfeet Nation in Montana. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. When we come back, we'll speak with pro-Tibet activists who were deported from China during the Olympics, then Chinese-American activist and author Helen Zia. She was part of the torch relay, the Olympic torch relay in San Francisco. Stay with us.
How can I turn away? Brother, sister, go dancing through my head.